All right, folks, episode 47 of the Ghouls is on way. We have the great guest today. We have the great and powerful Jay Yoder's here, folks.
I want that.
Folks.
Every host is going to introduce me as that.
The great and powerful.
He's Asian. the great and very powerful Jay Yoder. Aren't all the sumo guys are all named like the great? That's not me making reference any.
What about the basketball players? What are they also called?
Yeah. Oh man, they're called law-abiding citizens. And I'm very happy to have Jay here on the show. Here in the Ghoul lair. It's been a while. We used to see each other like 3 times a week. I miss you, man.
I know. We used to have Wednesdays and then Grape Room on Tuesdays.
Yeah, all the mic scene is very different than like the last 2 years in the city, and the shows and who runs shows and everything. It's like
every year and a half, it just gets wiped out and new shit comes in.
It never gets any better, but
I just keep thinking about the glory days of chasing the pandemic at Joel's and the sand pit.
Yeah, that was a great time.
Because you basically had everybody.
Oh yeah, there was only 2 mics going on at the time, and everybody went to them. It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
There are those like comedy open mics that, especially like Grape Room was like this, where it's like if you're in school, it's like going to the cafeteria because you have people from every group are there. You get to, you know what I mean? You can see some mics. It just becomes too much of that crowd. Like I don't want to name any specific mics, but the 2 Street and
I've never been. Actually, I lied. I went once early on, and I didn't. Back when I didn't really understand the game or how it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, it said this time, and then it was like, oh yeah, today we're starting 3 hours later than that.
Oh, that's what I was.
And, which I just at that point in my life, I was like, I had to get up for like 6 a.m. to go teach. And, I was like, it was kind of one of those things where I was kind of with comedy. I was at the point where I was like, what am I doing with myself?
Oh yeah. I think that every day when I do comedy.
Was this Sunday church league softball or?
It's been. I've been going somewhat regularly. Decent. Manny hosts there now, so it's. You know Manny Muskets at all?
I've heard the name.
He's a guy that we thought he was like had a speech impediment. Turns out he's just British.
Yeah.
He's a black guy. He's British, and
I feel like I either was on a showcase with him or something at some point.
Man, he's a really funny guy.
Does he go to Bar 13 at all?
Yeah, he's been there. He hasn't been there much lately, but he doesn't drive. He lives in the city and he doesn't drive.
Yeah, I definitely have seen the name for sure.
He's playing as I'm gonna get my first plug in for this.
Oh, we got plugs. Okay.
We're doing in April 2nd at Bar 13. We're doing the trial of Jesus Christ on the Wednesday night. We're doing so. I usually host the mic that night.
So I went to Catholic school and we did a mock.
We all went to Catholic school.
We did the mock trial. We did
a
mock trial.
We only did living stations.
Pontius Pilate. Like we put Pontius Pilate on trial, and I was one.
Oh,
of
really?
Pilate.
Yeah, and I was
for his negligence.
Yeah, so like if I was one of the attorneys, like trying to like prove that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
the crazy
awesome.
thing, this was in biology class.
Yeah, right. That's it.
Did you do
Sister
living
Dorian
What
really
grade
know.
was this?
Probably like 10th.
All right. Well, I was gonna say, what if it's 4th grade?
It was 10th, but I just remember being so into it and going.
Mary Magdalene's a whore.
Yeah, I was like digging through that Bible trying to find.
Oh
the
yeah.
loophole and
we did living stations at the Catholic school, and
spoiler alert: you don't have to look far to find loopholes.
yeah, true. We did living stations, and
I remember those.
They sucked.
I did it on grade school and high school, and my 8th grade class, we had to pick names from hats. Who was going to play who? And my friends put my name as a joke in the Jesus category, and I got picked. And like my teacher almost fainted. She was so mad about me getting picked.
Yeah,
was it by voting?
Yeah, like randomly out of a bag.
Oh,
God forbid Jesus is racially accurate. For the stage of the cross.
Would have pegged you for Judas, but okay, that's fine.
Luke doesn't have the dreads for Jesus.
I don't. But I remember doing it for Catholic school, and I was just in the crowd watching. We had the crowd had lines about free Jesus or free Barabbas.
Barabbas.
Everybody was like so meek and so they didn't want to get involved. But like me and my friends, every time they come, we just scream, "Free Barabbas! Free Barabbas!"
Exactly. I think that was the sort of the trial was about. Like, they made
it was
mistake.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yo, this bull Barabbas, he need to be on the inside, bro. I'm telling you, that man ain't fit for public consumption.
I remember just loving to get out of church, getting out of school to go to church. I was like, let's do.
Yeah, I like.
Let's do the Stations of the Cross on Friday.
Yeah.
I was such a nerd that I wouldn't even talk during church. I didn't even think God would be mad at me. I just didn't want the stress. It's like kids would try to talk to me at church, and I'd get so angry. I'd be like, shut the hell up. They're going to get mad at us.
I know.
Well, I referred to it in class the other day because I had these. I teach at a public school, but like I had these kids like got up to do a presentation and they just got a case of the giggles. Like they probably were like, I don't know what they were. Maybe they were on something. I don't know, but they were just giggling. But it reminded me of being in church. Somebody says something, you know you're not supposed to laugh, and you just can't help it. So it reminded me of, like, we had a word, and it was so dumb. Play. The word play. If the word play came up, you'd be like, play. And then we'd be singing one of the hymns. It'd be like, come play in the forest. And we'd just lose it.
Yeah.
And then one of the dads of the female students in the class, her dad was an assistant principal for the high school. So he came in and, like, read us the riot act. We're a bunch of fifth graders. Told them we can't say the word play. And then we had to write a definition of what we thought it meant. And, like, we're all playing it off like, just having fun with our friends. And, like, of course, there's always one kid, probably would have been Otis, who was like, it means having sexual intercourse with another person. Like, we all got together and agreed what we were going to write, and this guy goes,
that's hilarious.
What does play mean to you? I don't know, teacher. Take a look. Trying not to laugh at shit it's so hard. Like, we both work in education, folks. There's a
not
kid.
For long.
Yeah, God, it's terrible.
One way or another.
You love it. You'd miss it immediately if you left it.
I agree. I had a moment today where I was like, okay, I like this, and then the 8th period ruined it. You know,
My grade from grade school and high school, we were always the bad grade. So like we were always known as the grade that would always talk during. It was like, and I used to feel so bad because like I had a teacher who was his first year doing it, and my class was talking throughout the entire thing. I would get like anxiety when kids would talk during class because I was like I knew someone was gonna get yelled at.
Yep.
I felt bad for the teacher. I would overthink. I would just stress myself out.
I had a moment today, and as soon as I did it, I was like, I went total passive aggressive on them. But like I didn't some things just don't work. So like I went passive aggressive and more of like just like, I guess we just can't do anything nice. I guess we just can't. We'll go back to boring stuff tomorrow, guys. My apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt and try to do something fun and engaging. That's my bad. I apologize.
I feel like that'd just go over kids' heads now.
And half of it does, but like some of the kids who are the honors kids, they get a crack. They get a good crack out of it. Or like we were going over like words in this chapter. It's like the places in the school, and I'm just going through them real quick, and I'll throw a zinger in there. One was like, and what's the officina? And they're like, principal's office. You know that well. All right, moving on to the next one.
You're workshopping, and they like that. Yeah.
And and some of them won't catch it, but then you get to see what I'm like. Oh, who can I recommend for honors? Oh, okay, Audrey caught that one. Okay, Audrey, she's going on to honors.
So you bribe / blackmail these kids with honors to test out bit. That's great.
I actually looked this up recently. I looked at my old college transcript, 2020. I made the dean's list.
How did that happen?
COVID, I cheated on everything. So that's how I made the dean's list.
I made the dean's list all the time.
Really?
I only had something like that happen where I got a letter in the mail once in like the early 90s that it was from the White House. It was a true story. I got Eagle Scout.
Wow.
And I never made it past Weeblos or whatever that like Cub Scout. You know, there were like the 4 patches of Cub Scouts and then you move on. Never made it past Cub Scouts, and I was just like, what must have been going on in the Oval Office in the 90s with Bill Clinton that he would have signed?
I was just going to say, I got a letter from the White House. It said Bill Clinton wanted to fuck me. I was just a little boy.
I was like, is this legit? It had the presidential stain all seal all over.
Have you seen the things about Trump showing people? I guess this was during his first term. The thing, did you send it to me or was that Say or somebody?
What was it?
The thing about Trump taking to show people where Bill Clinton and Monica had sex.
I didn't see that.
Like giving tours. He's like making extra food on the side.
Guess what's right here, folks? Take a look at where he did her.
I never did it. I could do it, but I never did.
He didn't say that. We heard he wasn't huge.
Not as big as me, folks. And I wouldn't do it on the dress. I'd do it right in her face.
Did you hear what happened? I don't know if this is true, but I guess today at the Federal House of Urban Development, somebody hacked the TVs. Did you see this?
No, I didn't see that at all.
So somebody hacked the TVs that are like just on in the hallways, and the AI video of Trump sucking Elon's feet was playing.
That's awesome.
And
my God.
And then it had logo over it that says "Long live the real king."
I like Trump. I don't like Elon Musk at all. He is so.
No, people cheer me at comedy. Lately, I don't like to give away jokes on the pod because I have disdain for my audience and they don't deserve my greatness here. They should have to sit through other people to watch me.
Unless they see your Patreon.
Yeah. But Elon, I've been saying that Elon should be sent back to Africa at comedy. I said just send him back to
that's
Africa.
right. South Africa? Is that where it's originally
Yeah.
I was like,
and people cheer. Like it's crazy. It's fine.
yeah. Well, it's so funny how immigration's such a hot topic, and yet both are, we're talking about like Vance and both have their wives are both easily tracing back to, I mean, we all trace back, but like they obviously trace back within a few more degrees of Kevin Bacon,
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're bangable to someone in the elite, then all else goes awry.
Mitch McConnell's like the most racist man alive. He has a Chinese wife. Like he looks.
Does
he?
he?
Yeah.
Oh,
He looks like a turtle.
I worked
Mitch
with the guy
McConnell.
like
and
that.
I rarely get political, but like I have the thoughts in my head, like of just like a lot of the things, like all those executive orders, and then he's like, just focusing on the smallest thing, like the transgender thing. Oh, let's sign a thing that says transgender athletes can't. How many people are in the United States? 360 million. Mm-hmm. This affected 10 collegiate athletes.
Yeah.
He took time to sign an order that affected 10 collegiate and maybe 15 high school students.
But it's the type of thing that looks good in headlines. It doesn't have any real effect.
It appeals to like the
it's good marketing.
I have a bit I'm working on now where I say I voted for Trump, and I'm kind of disappointed with the first month because it seems like he's doing the side quests as opposed to the actual things, and he's banning.
Sucks, yeah.
No, it's great. It's really funny.
He's banning like plastic straws, and he's changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to America. I'm like, what about the gas is still $3, Trump? Like,
eggs are house payment.
Yeah, exactly.
But then there was other things like I was thinking about, like the other big one was the CRT, the critical race theory, that this curriculum that supposedly
I should be
apparently
teaching
there's 3 states that have like one school that maybe has something in their programming that resembles it. That's it.
Yeah.
There are 500 school districts in Pennsylvania alone.
Yeah.
And none of it's all of a sudden I'm like, what are you going to ban next? Steel cage matches at lunch? Like,
well, if you're
banning stuff that doesn't exist.
If you're focused on the trans athlete stuff, you won't notice them cutting the funding for like music programs and disability
like,
programs.
Look over here.
Yeah.
That's I keep bumping into you, Jay. It's because
like,
I love
well,
you.
No, I just thought that. I thought you were trying to break the touch barrier.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Jay, we're all going to be exhibits at the Please Touch Museum. You want to know?
I go there once a month with my daughters. They have like on Sundays they have like a disability day where they open it early.
That's good.
And then you get to go for like 2 hours for free.
Oh, that's
not bad.
That's
free
nice.
parking. So yeah, it's like perfect. So
you ever go to is it the Mudders Museum?
His mother was a mutter.
Both my
is it the Mudders?
Wait, no.
It's in Philly. I went there for a 7th grade field trip. We went there. They showed you like embryos in like glass jars and like fetuses and shit like that.
The Ripley Believe It or Not museum.
It's like that. We saw the world's largest colon.
Oh
yeah.
What was it? 2 dots on a giant sheet of paper. Say they have the jars of fetuses.
That's a joke that went over half of anybody who would have.
It went over my head for like 1 second.
There's ELA teachers out there being like, "That was a good one."
It was so funny because like they would have like they went to this. I think I told it before on the podcast, but like
fuck these people. Let them hear it again.
We went to the shop. Our fans. We went to the shop.
Ghoul Nation.
And there was little big plush dolls of like sperm, and like some kids were like buying plushy sperms out of the fucking shop.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
We went with their fucking cousins.
I've never heard of it, but I promise you, I'll never take my daughter there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
They have fetuses in jars.
They have like severed penises in jars.
Oh my god!
Testicles. Yeah.
I was gonna say, do they have the names of the brave women who gave those fetuses?
They don't have that. That's you need a Mudders Museum Plus subscription to get there.
Penises. This is Lauren at Bobbit Hallway. She's provided all the ones in this exhibit.
I once dated a girl where our first date was on a Saturday morning to go get a Plan B at a Rite Aid. It was a great month.
The future Mrs. Timlin.
Yeah.
I've not been. There's so many museums in Philly, which is crazy. But like, the Please Touch. I'd like to be in an exhibit there.
I haven't been there at all. I had never been there before. I want to go.
Oh, dude, you
want to go together as adults?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. We could do our man on the street interviews there. Those
were
all over.
I remember I liked going to the Camden Aquarium because my father lived in Camden at the time. But besides the point. That was supposed to be a black joke. Completely bummed. But they had the SpongeBob.
He was one of the guppies in there, right?
He was the catfish. And they had the 3D SpongeBob movie where they would spray water at you. It was really cool.
Oh, they spray water?
Yeah, they were the things that they would trigger in the front of your seat. They would spray water at you.
Very interactive.
Think about the dads that got pissed at that.
Oh my God!
They've since converted that to a whole different theater.
They actually shoot the little plushies now, the sperm plushies.
Sperm plushies, yeah.
The kids come during the day, the dads go in the evening for a whole different experience.
Oh,
I could just picture some like 50-year-old hunter dad who's got the camouflage hat on. He's like, "What the hell is this shit? Why are they spraying me?"
Oh my God!
There's a subsect of dads that's really against whimsy of any kind.
There is.
They hate fun.
Whimsy.
Yeah. If there's any kind of unplanned fun that doesn't have to do with like, gutting an animal with a knife or something. I didn't grow up with many of these guys like in my life, but they were always around. I'd see them in the the more rural areas.
My dad is way more extrovert than I am. My dad loves going out. I hate going out.
Yeah, I love going out. Most of your friends love going out.
Yeah, I hate going out.
That's why your friends.
You mean just in general, like social events, or
I mainly because like I don't like going to bars or going to any clubs or anything because I go to 3 bars a week most weeks. Like,
that's
comedy.
not enough, buddy.
I know it's not enough. But
I love the bars.
Yeah, you would just. I mean, when I was younger, I would that's what I would do. Like if I had free time, before I had kids, I'd go watch a game. But instead of sitting at home, I'd go watch a game at a bar.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're married you got kids. You're married. You know what I mean? It's
Now it's different.
It's like I could understand not wanting to go to the bar if you have something to come home to. No offense.
Well, yeah, and it's like I also just I guess again as you get older, it's like now I just like some of those things I don't care to do. Like
and you're out of comedy all the time. It's really comedy is. Like you're out there you don't realize how often you're out at bars. You're there all the time.
That's the only reason I would ever go out to a bar is because of comedy. So I get to feel like I'm in the scene.
Yeah, but I don't care about going to do going to a bar just to hang out with friends. I love going out to eat. That's my favorite thing. I love going to the movies. I just don't I don't like going to bars.
I love just going to the bar. I hate when comedy starts when I always say the worst part about comedy. All right, guys, we're gonna get started. It's like, God damn it, no.
Yeah.
When you guys are both bachelors, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I don't know if you can call me a bachelor.
Luke pulls a lot more women than me, man. Let me tell
you. None. Are you on the apps? What's going on?
Here's the thing, Jay, is when I'm on the apps and I'll match with a woman, and then she'll send me something that says like hi, and I just don't.
Here comes his dissertation.
And that's it. And then what is about?
Yeah.
What
a bitch.
What would have been the end? What would have been the setup for your punchline on that one?
No, that's literally how I feel. That's literally how I am.
You don't want anything. So you want to send a pic? Like, what do you want?
I don't know what I want.
Just say to her, "Come over here and blow me," and then never talk to me again.
But she'll say hi.
She'll respond to that.
You won't respond back.
I go, ugh, why are you texting me?
Why are you texting me?
And I just throw. I'm like, I don't.
Is this for a good-looking woman or a pig?
What do you think? It's not. If it's a great-looking woman, absolutely.
Well, not great, but
these are not great-looking women.
I've been obsessed. So whenever I was driving, I was listening to true crime for a while, and it was really messing with my head. So I had to switch. Somebody recommended this news podcast. It's a segment of a radio show in Seattle. It's called Second Date Update. Is the segment? Have you ever heard of this?
No, that's a good idea.
So basically, what they do is, let's say you meet somebody on the app, you go out for a first date. You think it went well. They're ghosting you. Won't respond to your text. Won't pick up the phone. You can't figure out why. You email them. They call you. You explain your side of the story. Wow. Then they call them, and they don't know that you're on the line, and they get them to talk about their side. So you could at least learn, did I do something wrong? Was it something I'm not aware of? And then they offer a second date that they'll pay for. They'll give you like an Applebee's.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
How many women get abducted on those second dates?
Dude, they've done thousands of them, and I know this because I've listened to all of them. Because they're like little 15-minute segments. And
it's a brilliant idea.
Make a car ride go so fast.
Is it on Spotify?
And, yeah.
Oh, I'd listen to that.
That's why I listen on Spotify.
Well, the last date I've been on was
Brooke and Jeffrey in the morning.
Was it
Brooke and Jeffrey?
Brooke and Jeffrey.
Oh, Brooke and Jeffrey. I was going to say Brooke and Jeffrey. He runs an open mic in Horsham.
They're an acquired taste. I love them now, but like at first they come off as really obnoxious. But
clip that. He's saying that about us. Okay. No, second date update.
Second date update.
Yeah. Text that to me.
And then every once in a while they'll
it.
have an update. So like if they match somebody and they go on a second date,
she's dead.
Then they call back. They get a call from
we found her in a
the
suitcase
gods.
at Pub Web.
But yeah, it's some of the stories are crazy. Half of them, I'm
yeah.
like, this. It's like how I felt like about wrestling. I'm like, is this real or is this like a War of the Roses where somebody's like calling
it's
in?
Probably
You know what I
the
mean?
that they got on the stage.
I feel like they probably have some, and then they probably, because they do the segment every day, they probably fluff a few in.
They're like, I dated a girl. Yeah, my brother actually.
Because some of them come off way too weird, or the way the guys act. I'm like, no, that's not a human being. That's a script.
I think it's been over a year since I've been on my last date.
I remember that night.
Yeah, it was on New Year's Day.
Do you think you would have more luck just going if you went out to the bars?
I think I'd have more luck if I had abs and there was.
You just know you got to put some effort in. The women will like the effort. We're getting to the age now.
What do you mean effort?
Like you just go out and talk to them and pretend to give a shit about them.
Honestly,
I should go out. That's what I really should do.
They really don't give a fuck.
Once they're not like 22 or anymore, which is a shame because those are the women I like, 22, 23-year-olds. But
yeah, I mean, dude, you're tall, you're dark, and you're you.
That's the police description. I said that
Book
to the cops.
boys.
Yeah.
No, but like there's enough there to work with.
I know, but
Who murdered your family? He was tall, he was dark, and he was you.
I do. I just love staying in though. Some days, man.
But you'll meet a girl that wouldn't mind that either, though.
With a woman that reflects my.
She'll walk in and she'll be like, "Oh, this guy's great. He's got Coors Light and he does laundry, or maybe it's been there forever."
We have a GameCube too.
Yeah,
this is a pussy household.
This is a bachelor household.
This is
yeah. Women are just. God bless them, but come on now. Enough's enough with
if you do bring them back here, make sure they're really drunk.
These are bachelors on the pro. It's off screen. Makes for great podcasting with video, and audio. But that door there that came off the first day. We called that maintenance guy to come put it back in 3 times, and it immediately went out the next time. We just didn't. It was one of those, and we can say this. It was one of those breeds of I don't want to say breed.
That was pretty bad. That's pretty bad. That was pretty bad.
It was one of those flavors of black dudes that dye their beard orange.
I don't know this.
Explain.
Islam. It's a Muslim. It's Sunni Muslims.
All right, maybe cut that then.
Why?
Oh no, yeah, I'm just describing it. You're right. I don't know anything. He's a Sunni Muslim.
Sunni
guy.
Muslims, they dye their beards orange. I don't know why. I think it's a cool look though. I want to
now
try.
that you say that, I
that.
can see it. I can see.
They usually wear the caps too, like the skin tight ones in the beard.
Hot Zone is a good
or as Trump calls them,
population on High Street. There's some markets that are halal and things like that, and I've definitely seen.
Oh yeah, I like halal.
That makes sense.
I love baklava.
I mean, I grew up in a neighborhood that had Orthodox Jewish people, so always, and they had the curls and the payots and the hat, the whole deal. So I was always around people of faith that weren't mine, but people dressing in a way distinctly.
So you just cross the other side of the street when they came.
Actually, well, my mom at the time was with a Jewish woman, and we were living there. So it was a lot of times we were at these houses, or I went to synagogue for a little while. I actually dated a rabbi's daughter, but it was not Orthodox. They were Reformed.
Get out!
Because I'm not. I swear I'm not kosher.
Oh my God! I guess I could tell this. A girl I work with was talking about this, and she had tattoos, so I didn't know because Jewish people can't get tattoos. Mm-hmm. And then out of nowhere, she goes, "Yeah, my parents keep kosher, but I don't." And I said, "Excuse me?"
But no. I like a good cheeseburger.
No, but it's just I felt it's like George Costanza's mother, when you remember with Donna Chang when the lines were crossed. I thought I was talking to a Chinese woman. I was duped. Because the Chinese woman, she thinks it's a Chinese woman, Jerry's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Have you seen this one?
I can't recall.
Oh,
I feel like I've seen every episode of Seinfeld, but the moment doesn't. But as soon as you do her voice,
I expect everyone to have every moment from Seinfeld on a Rolodex. Jerry's dating a woman.
How's your dating life, by the way? No,
he's dating a woman named Donna Changstein. She's a Jewish woman, but her name, she shortened it to Chang. And then George's mother calls and the lines are crossed. And she tells him, no, don't leave George's father. And she takes the advice because she thinks it's coming from a Chinese woman. Then she met, which this is how you could tell it's the magic of Hollywood. She met a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jew. And she goes, wait a minute, I was duped. They could never make that now, but boys, because they're not saying anything bad. It's just it's making fun of how old people. That's what's so brilliant about it. If only Jerry weren't, doing teenagers at the time.
Yeah. When I was a kid, my friend Mitch, he was telling us a story about his friend's
Short for Mitchell?
bar mitzvah. Yeah, his friend's bar mitzvah. And
Bar
like
mitzvah.
we were like talking about it at school, and like, oh, he goes, oh yeah, dude, I was over at Ari's bar mitzvah. He got like, we're like, I think we were 13. Like, we got like $5,000. We're like, what? I want to be Jewish. Like, we're all saying that in class.
That's low for a bar mitzvah, from what I've heard.
I used to cater a lot of those. We had so we worked for a catering business, and as it was family one, so I would help out, and I would always work a lot of the bar and bar mitzvahs.
Yeah.
That's actually where I met the girlfriend that I had at the time, because I was like serving there, and then she had asked for my number, and they gave it to her and didn't tell me.
My man.
Well, it was a weird conversation because she just called me out of the blue, and I didn't know she had my number. I didn't remember seeing her, but we dated for a while.
Look at you.
I Shabbat her shalom.
And it wasn't kosher, let me tell you that.
We stepped on a few glasses. Oh boy, yeah. Did you ever see the place on I believe Germantown? It's like coming up if you're going through like Lafayette Hill from Roxborough towards here. It's called Knishes and Dishes.
I ate there.
You ate Knishes and Dishes?
Marco's mom works there.
I loved.
Really?
I loved
Yeah.
Jewish
I didn't even know
cooking.
you had a mom.
Matzo ball soup. was
Matzo
my
ball
favorite.
soup is
Love
really
a
good.
matzo
Brisket's
ball soup.
amazing.
Oh,
Brisket's
my
my
God.
favorite food.
You can't even taste the blood of the Arabs. But I I kid. I love that stuff. It's Knishes and Dishes. I used to, when I was door dashing in the pandemic, I used to go in there all the time, and the food at all. I used to hate it because the food would be like 20 minutes after the arrival, to like whatever it'd say it'd be ready. Because you could make decent money door dashing during the pandemic when you couldn't go out to eat. And I was just out of college, nowhere was hiring. Probably the best job I ever had those 6 months. But I was walking in and I'm muttering, "This goddamn place."
I did a DoorDash.
It's just the service, I swear.
Well, I did a DoorDash there one time during the pandemic, and I sent you a video. I went up to the place and I said, I saw Knishes and Dishes. I went up to the place and I said, I have an order for Dave Premiano.
I haven't seen him in forever. Do you guys see him?
We saw him. We see him like once every 3 months. Because High Note's did you ever go to High Note?
I've been once or
Great
twice.
place.
Yeah, is that Wednesday?
Yeah, so it's the same as 13. We're always at 13. So you know what I mean? If only they were, but they've both been on the same night for too long. You couldn't change one of them. But if they were back-to-back nights, we'd have a great block.
Well, that's when I used to do Tuned Up back in the day. So I think I'd never gone because.
Oh yeah, well, Tuned Up was good because you could make that in 13.
And then 13. That's what I liked about it.
This one, it's tough, and it's always they're very fair about how they order the list at High Note. So like, you're almost always one of your buddies is going to be at the, like if Luke and I are there, I can't just say, all right, Luke, I'm not watching you, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? We're gay, we're homosexuals, and but it's like if 4 of us go together, 3 of us can't. Me, him, Dunbar, and Mac. Like we can't just ditch one of them. You know?
No, absolutely.
We're the camaraderie we have it, which I think is actually pretty. You know, we should be shot. But but if it's doable if you get there at like, and then there's also the aspect of like it's always a poppin' room, so you kind of want to watch like Steve. You know Steve Kane well?
I don't know him well, but I know. Yeah, I know him. He's
one of the funniest people I've ever met. Watching him, sometimes he'll just do his whole set about Paul Carson, and it'll be funny. Like he'll just start talking about Paul, like they're friends, so it's
yeah.
It's genuinely, it's the type of stuff I'd pay to watch. Like I would pay to go see that kind of, like Steve is just, once he had a box set there of, I'm rambling, but he had a box set there of like Halloween movies, and he's taking them out like, and all of a sudden he whips one through, like not to hit anybody, but he's like, this is one of my favorite movies. And he like whipped it at the wall in this way that was very smooth, and it just thudded, and
Did we talk about last week how we were at
enough of me glazing Steve.
The Mount Holly Mike, Steve was there, and
Steve
Kane, and he was like, he was on stage. There's a live band that would play you on.
Oh yeah, this is Holly Huff. Do you meet Holly Huff? She's one of those I know. She goes.
No, but I think I've seen a clip or so.
Yeah,
she's hilarious. She's great.
There's a live band there that plays you on and off, and he goes, "Hey," goes the drummer goes, "Hey, how about you tell a joke and I'll drum?" And the band's like, "Oh yeah, all right, dude." And it's like, but me knows Steve goes on and just fucking plays a great solo. It was we knew he played drums.
Yeah.
But the band's like, "All right, yeah, come on, play drums."
They posted a reel of it today. He fucking blew them away. Like it was groovy. It was.
Yeah, he was great.
And then the band was jamming with them, but they were like, stuff like that just is so cool. Steve is like Mr. Excitement. He can make something out of nothing.
That's kind of cool. It reminds me of like you harken back to people like what's his face, Man on the Moon. Who did Jim Carrey play in?
Kaufman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love
where
Kaufman.
It's just like very, it's not your typical.
Oh
It's
yeah,
different.
the Here I Come to Save the Day Mighty Mouse thing is where he's mouthing along to the record player.
Yeah.
That's some of the most brilliant shit there's ever been. And the wrestling stuff he did with Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
I'm sure
that was
you know Jerry Lawler, right?
Jerry Lawler
Yeah,
from
he would go there
wrestling.
and they'd be on the one of the shows was it Young
Letterman.
Yeah, Young Letterman.
Yeah.
They were on his
You're
show.
a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole, Jerry.
If only Paterno said that to Sandusky.
Was that the narrative of what was happening?
He says, "You're fucking an asshole, Jerry. You're fucking an asshole."
I'm gonna go on Fanatics and get some Penn State earmuffs and wear them around. Everybody I know went to Penn State either left alcoholic, eating disorder, horribly depressed, failed out with a 1.2 GPA. That place ruins lives.
Did you go to Arcadia?
Ursinus.
You went to Ursinus. Oh wow.
Yeah, I
My high school quarterback went to Ursinus. Steve Honick. He's now coaches the team.
Oh, that's
Really?
cool.
Yeah. I saw his balls in high school.
My cousin was the national champion for Penn State, the quarterback
Ooh.
in '83.
Really?
Todd Blackledge.
Wow.
He's like he did NFL backup for a while. Now he's like a sports commentator for like college, but he was a Penn State grad. He went. Actually, it was a funny story. Is now the school I teach at, our high school football coach was his fullback for
Really?
the championship season, and he was a walk-on.
wow.
And so it was kind of cool to have like, it just ran. I remember hearing like whenever we'd hear Sports Illustrated would always like do a thing where they were selling a commemorative. They're like the 1983 Nittany Lions, and they'd always say like my cousin's name. Anybody in the house would be like, oh, they're talking about Todd.
Yeah.
Wow,
I never
that's really
met
cool.
him, but like, it's cool to have a connection. Before all the disaster of the Sandusky.
Oh yeah, and I
scandal.
hated Penn State even before that, just because of so many asshole fans. Where
I went once to a game. Have you ever been tailgated?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
I like Michigan. I've gone to see them play Michigan and rooted against them. I went and saw them play a couple times when I was younger, and Paterno was there. Jay and I, for the viewers who don't know, Jay and I were both from the Scranton area. So we know a lot of. We have who do we have from there? We have Jimmy Cephalo, the football player. Did you ever hear him? He was in a Super Bowl. He's a running back, I believe.
I did not know that.
And then there's Bob Sura. He played on the Rockets in the
Sura.
NBA. Yeah, he played for like 10 years, and now the guy just posts on himself on beaches and stuff. He played for the Rockets and the Cavs.
There was a kid I played against in high school, Jerry McNamara, who
J-Mac, our friend
like-
Mike Steve. That's his favorite
he went
player.
on and as a
Syracuse.
freshman, they were national champions his
Yep.
freshman year. He's
I believe
now
he
like
played.
a
Didn't he?
college
He played.
coach or
Yeah.
something
Oh
now.
no, he is. I have a friend who worships that guy. Worships that guy.
Yep.
Jerry McNamara.
Yeah, he went to one of the rival Catholic schools in the area. And basketball's a huge
then
sport.
and then Greg Shrepnick, the felon.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of.
He was a lineman for the Raiders. Then he became a county commissioner. Then he went to jail for corruption.
All right. Well.
So now, if you look at the thing we laugh about a buddy of ours is friends with. Maybe we should cut. Well, we can cut this in the thing. Actually, no one will listen to this. No, it doesn't matter. I like to stress out Luke with him writing down times of when to cut things.
When to cut things, yeah.
Yeah, but
Happens a lot.
But anyway, on this guy's a famous Wilkes-Barreans, it says this guy's name, former NFL player, comma, convicted felon. And he took like $5,000 and went to fucking prison for it, dude. Like, it's not worth. I mean, he betrayed the people.
He betrayed the people.
And I don't like his son very much.
We had Norristown, Gino Aramera, the guy who coaches football.
Gino is from
He's
Norristown?
from Norristown.
The Yukon guy.
Yeah.
Wow,
He's
that's
from
I was
impressive.
actually born in Norristown.
You were?
Really?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
My dad's side of the family was from Pottstown, Stowe area. I was born at, it used to be called like a St. Mary's. It's not around anymore, but St. Mary's, wherever Tommy Lasorda or whoever was born around here.
I didn't know Tommy Lasorda
I
was.
forgot he was from here, too.
Then Matt Ryan's Exton.
Yep.
Are you were born? You were born. What hospital were you born at?
It was called St. Mary's.
St.
at the time.
Okay.
It's not around anymore.
Okay.
From
Who
what I
else?
understand.
Mike Piazza's from around
Mike
here?
Piazza,
Piazza.
yeah, same.
He's another one.
The guy who played the dad and Everybody Loves Raymond, not Raymond, but
Peter
Oh,
Boyle.
Boyle's from
One of the
yeah.
funniest guys. Do you like Everybody Loves Raymond?
love it. Jake's
one of the best shows.
my brother with Asperger's. He's loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Loves it.
Will you tell the
Good
story?
show.
Will you tell the story about the I'm not like that? I'm not really like
Oh,
that.
this is a great one. My brother, he's a little bit on. He has Asperger's, but he's functional. He has a job. He's insane.
What
though.
color is he?
He's Italian. He's not
Yeah.
black.
Yeah, no, you're
he's
not
not
That's
black.
important to the. That's important to the story.
Yeah.
So he'll send me like fucked up racist videos. The one time the video he sent me before.
This is Luke's flesh and blood, by
He
the way.
lives with my grandmother. He took her mascara pen and tried to put blackface on himself. And he sent me a video like, "Yo, my niggas, George Floyd, is there something fucked up, something completely fucked up." It's like it was hilarious though, because his face wasn't black. It had like looked like someone took a marker and like just put lines on his face. So he sends it to me, but he sent it to some girl he was trying to like hook up with, and she responded and she was like, "Jake, what the hell is wrong with you? This is completely messed up. This is so disgusting and racist." And Jake goes, "I'm sorry, I'm not like this."
He's like, "Here I'm."
While in blackface, "I'm sorry, I'm not like this."
He's like, "I meant to send you this dick pic." Hold
Yeah,
on.
exactly. Yeah. That's also in blackface.
Yeah, the streaks. He was the first guest we had on this show, and he conceived a brilliant idea for how to make a little extra money. He wanted to come up with, and he stressed that this was not weird. He wanted it to come up with an OnlyFans page called Jake's Balloons.
Yeah.
And he stressed he wouldn't be naked or anything. He'd just be in like boxers rubbing balloons.
To himself. But it wouldn't be weird because he's not naked. Because that's the problem.
He's older than us too. He's what'd you say? He's older than me at least. What is he, like 32?
He's born 91.
Oh, so he's 34?
Wait, how old are you guys?
I'm 28.
What?
Oh, thank you. I know. Yeah.
I would have never guessed that.
I'm 25.
No.
Yeah.
Does it make the apartment less
Oh
sad?
my God, I'm so old. I'm about to be 17 years older than you.
25. 99.
So yeah, that means when we met, I was like 21.
That's so crazy.
Or no, a little older than 21, 23.
I would never have guessed that.
I was, how old was I? 20? 19?
Yeah, I guess so. No, you
my
had just turned
God.
21.
I just turned 21. Yeah.
Well, it couldn't
we
have
met
been
at a
like 4
bar.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been 4 years ago. Yeah, that's crazy.
You missed out on seeing me at the mics in Philly before COVID. I used to take the girl that I was living with, and boy, did people not like my thing. Like, it works more. It's weird. I notice people like it more when it looks like I have world experience. When I was a 21-year-old just saying this stuff, people would really get mad. Oh, the people I could list that that just said, "You're just terrible. You should quit." they would come up and say that. They'd be like,
That's horrible.
They were just like, "You just." I don't want to say who it is. She's a pillar of the scene. She Irish. She came up to me the one day. Dates a guy who looks like Peppermint Patty from the Peanuts. Came up to me the one day and said, "You know, Otis, it's crazy how unfunny you are. You're terrible. You should just quit." Like, she would say this to me. She'd be drunk out of her fucking mind, but she'd just come up and say this unprompted.
Yeah.
And it's like stuff like it's. To be able to watch that from like a mirror or something now and see it'd be so funny, because that's what I revel in. Like, that's the stuff that when I was feeling discouraged, I would think, well, no, if this cow doesn't like it, then I got to come back.
I gotta come back.
Because having a response with people like
that's
that.
what you have to do. That's the thing about it, is you have to get through all of that part, the growth part of it, and it's hard to like. Now I do a lot of the comedy school stuff I've been helping out with, so it's interesting.
That's really the combination of your two passions. Like, that's
right. It is.
Yeah.
When I think
a lot
about
of fun. I mean, like, because it's just one of those things where it like keeps you sharp, like by like helping other people.
Oh yeah, you can ape
build
their shit.
premises and tags and,
that joke's no good. Never tell it again.
yeah. Well, but then also the art of like, because I think that's the part that for comedy was so helpful for me, when people would pitch me something, or like Rob Stant was one who like would always come up to me at Bar 13 and say, "Hey, great stuff," or like you just say something, then he'd be like, "Oh, what about this?" And I found that so helpful to have. I don't know that a lot of that happens sometimes, where people like
No, there's a lot of undercutting.
Because and then sometimes people aren't receptive to it, so people don't want to. But it's just very organic, and I was always the kind of person that like. I wanted to get good at it. So I was like, well, if you're going to give me advice, there's something to be taken from it.
Absolutely. Even if it's just like, so even if you disagree with it, it's like, well, now I see, like, now you have more perspective on where that person's coming from with humor.
It's got to be constructive, not just
Yeah, well, there are some people,
down.
I've noticed if you're within like 2 or 3 years of age of a person, and you have like, so if you're, I don't want to say similar look, but like, if you fit into the same category of who would think you're funny. That's where I noticed the most like bullshit. Like I would imagine that like you start in your 30s. I imagine guys in their 20s were probably a lot nicer to you than like guys in their 30s were.
Yeah, you're right.
Or even 40s.
I just felt like everybody was super nice to me, or at least in my face. Like everybody's been like.
Well,
I was like 38, going on 39 when I started. So.
Yeah, well, that's why. Like, you know what I mean? There's not a. I don't know. I feel like there's
not like a feel of competition because we're clearly in different lanes, but
I think you just radiate being a good person. I think a lot of people can see that for sure.
Well, I hope so. I know you mean that too. I know you're not just being the.
Oh no, it's completely true. Everyone loves you.
There are a few people. It's you. It's Dolan.
Dolan.
Like you guys are you guys are good guys.
Well, that's what you want. It's like anything. You go out like I'm. I don't know if it's because I moved a lot. Always making friends, but you always want to. It's always nice to have people around. People want to be around people who are nice and can trust them. And but it's also interesting to have people who are more colorful around too.
Well, you radiate positivity. We hone in negativity. Us too.
Well, there are a few people. There are a few people. Speaking of unsolicited advice, and we'll all know. Do you remember the last mic of the Great American? I believe it was the last mic of the Great American Pub. Somebody was on stage. They insulted within like 5 seconds. The pizza, the host, the mic, the bartender. Who could it be? I'm not saying it, but
they'll be in your DMs at 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I can't. I know it happened, and now I'm trying to think.
Andy Nolan.
I know who it is. Now I know who it is.
Andy Nolan.
That name has been out of my head, and now
I saw.
I don't like you to be like. Putting it back in my head. Is that name still around? Like,
we saw him Friday, but
first time in a while. Well, no, I saw the week before as well, but that was the first time in like 6-7 months.
Okay.
It's just there's a thing like that person goes off the grid constantly, like for months.
Well, and there's clearly something going on there.
Yeah, but my pity dries up when you're calling me names in the middle of the night.
And I was, me, and like I was that way in those private messages with that person, and it got to me at some point, and I still was like. And like I'm like, what am I wasting my time for at 3 a.m, like responding to this person that's hell bent on misunderstanding me? Like anything you'd say, like he would want to take anything.
People fall in
positive.
love with the tortured genius aesthetic, I guess, almost because it gets glamorized.
That's it. It's like a concept of Don Quixote. I had to read this novel because I studied Spanish, and it's basically this famous Spanish novel that was written in the 1500s, and it was this you know this at all?
Is it about like the spinning?
The character with the windmills and what
windmills,
people. But it's this. So basically. Cervantes was in jail when he wrote it, and he was writing about this guy who was, came from a decent family, but maybe times were not as good anymore, but he had enough to survive, and he was an older man, and he trapped himself in his library, and he basically Netflix and chilled all of the like Knights of the Round Table books of that era. So he just immersed himself in every book, and then he started having a hard time with reality, and he would go out and try to be a knight errant and try to save the world. But what happened is he wasn't perceiving reality. Like he would it was all these episodes. Like he'd come up on, it was a chain gang. They were like basically prisoner transport. But he saw them as these guys who were being enslaved by these unjust people and would try to attack the prison guards. But really, these were all so then he never beats them up. He does something stupid like a Three Stooges thing, and then they end up getting free. And then the prisoners beat the shit out of him after he frees them. And it's just a folly out. And he convinces his neighbor to join him, and he's gonna promises him a kingdom. And this is not a time when there are kingdoms. So it's just one of those things where sometimes he seems like. Wow, he's so clear and lucid, and then all of a sudden he's fighting a windmill thinking it's a giant.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa. And it's so hard to tell when he's in which world.
No one has ever put more thought into him than you just did right there. And this show is
maybe some doctors.
A peak high like intelligence. Don Quixote. I never thought we'd have a Don Quixote.
He's our own man of La Mancha.
But with him, it's like it happens the first time, and you're like shocked. But then after like the 16th time, like, okay, I've been on this roller coaster like 20 times.
Gets old, man.
The first time's like kind of thrilling and scary. That's why I'm like, all right, just go. Yep.
It all comes back to, for me, just be funny.
Yeah.
If you're funny enough, people will put up with that. People still give Kanye a goddamn audience.
Yeah, if you have talent, yeah.
If you can get it done, people will give a shit, and people will do your like.
But my thing was like, I was being stubborn, like and I knew him before. Like he was friends with my brother.
Isn't that something?
He was friends with my brother.
He's friends with the guy. They went to school together. I forgot about that.
And I was like, I'll be nice to him, and I'm thinking like. I read something about how like he got on stage and everybody got up and left during his set. I'm like, that's kind of fucking horrible. Like I didn't know him. Like he can't be that bad.
What's the thing about like
he is that bad.
I'm an empath, so I always like.
I'm a sociopath.
Well, so I'm always gonna try to put myself in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
So it's like I get it, but like you feel.
Oh
bad.
yeah, I'm an outlaw. I love to hate it.
Yeah. That's right.
I practically fucking worship Luigi Manchione, but I went to the spot where he did it when I was in New York. I went to the spot. I went there and stood there and laughed.
Did you buy a Hawk Tuah shirt while you were there?
I should have. I have one in my car right now.
Yeah.
I bought one like a week after that happened, before
funny,
she was on the show.
She'll
be on the spot.
She's died down now, right? That's
she's because she started that coin.
Thing.
Yeah.
But it was funny because they had a whole thing at the Spirit Halloween, so they had an end cap of all Hawk Tuah gear.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she was smart enough to at least have someone helped her along the way where she had branded it. So when you went on the thing, it said, you know what the name of her company was?
What?
16 Minutes.
Oh, that's really smart.
Yeah.
It's like the Rock's
Yeah,
$7 studios or something like that. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, he had $7 in his pocket.
$7 studios. Yeah.
And all the connections in the wrestling industry a person could ever need.
Exactly.
And he's 6'4" and 260 jacked.
Handsome and jacked.
Yeah. But the guy had $7 in his pocket the day before payday.
Yeah,
when he was 19.
They always twist the story to have some kind
of course.
You just played football at Miami. At peak Miami years, you didn't get to the NFL, all right, but you still play football in the top 98 percentile.
Your boy Trump brought him up by his own bootstraps. It's
Who, The Rock?
No, Trump is the same deal. He's like, I brought myself.
Yeah,
up.
a small loan of $1 million from his father.
But like, I think anybody who's in that, like, they want to feel like they're relatable on some level, even though they're
completely
not.
Yeah.
And that's you get
it does suck when you have like an artist or like an actor that you like.
I mean, I'm gonna get so big at some point. I'm gonna have to pretend that like I'm a normal person.
You'll always be good old Johnny to me. You could say the same. A couple of gay Johns from Scranton. But
it's always disheartening though when you have like a musical artist or like an actor you like, and you look at like their Wikipedia, their backstory, and you see like, oh, their father was an investment banker in New York. And
well,
Wall
I mentioned
Street.
before, my coworker turned out to be Jewish. No, I mean, God, yeah, like, well, I think he means it, and he is right on this. And I didn't vote. Luke knows I don't vote. I don't care. I wouldn't care if they all died. But remember when you got shot? All I had was apathy. Like I cared because but remember I got you and you were upset, and I was like, that's not me trying.
This big news.
No, that's not me trying to sound cool. The president getting shot is a big, or even a president getting shot is a huge deal.
Well, here's the thing. He's the only president I would care about getting shot. It could have been Jeb Bush. I wouldn't have gave a shit.
Well, Jeb wasn't the president. George.
Yeah. No, George, Jeb.
It could have been all the Bushes. Dig up George. Well, I couldn't say shooting the president. But
there's any politician in general, anybody like of a note, whether it's a CEO or whatever, like, that's like stuff you think about like, oh, is this Moscow? It's like, because I went to a high school at the end. It was like a prep school, so you had kids from all over the world. And across the hall from me, because I stayed in the dorm there, was a kid from Moscow. His dad was like a politician, and he would like tell stories about like when he rides around with cash in his glove compartment in case he ever gets pulled over. And then I like a kid from Colombia whose dad was a big wealthy guy, and so he
from what?
I will say he said he was not uncommon. He had to ride around with a gun in his glove compartment, and we were hanging out.
That kid's father was a drug dealer.
We were hanging out one day, and then all of a sudden, the like RA or whoever, the dorm parent, comes in and takes it and pulls him out of the room that we're all hanging out in, and his dad had been kidnapped and held for ransom.
Holy shit!
I was like, what? Like, wow. I was like,
you must have been selling some good blood.
I was all I could think about. Man, he knows who his dad is. That's what,
I shit on the joke, Jay. I didn't know you were going there. I'm sorry.
You're fine. No, but I didn't know the joke was there. But I was like, yeah,
he knows who his dad is.
But yeah, no, it's like that's so crazy to think. Life could be like that, and then all of a sudden things like that happen. I mean, like, we got to stay in our lane. School shootings, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to stay in our lane.
Oh, one day we're going to talk about the training, because now I know about it from working at this school.
And different schools have different philosophies, because it used to be like lockdown drill where you get in the corner and shut the lights off. Mm-hmm. But then after the Virginia Tech incident, like, they started doing studies that staying in place made you sitting ducks. Obviously.
Right.
Do you ever, when you're teaching, do you ever picture yourself like there's a school shooting and you picture yourself like pulling a gun and like going like?
I could never imagine myself in any scenario pulling a gun.
Really?
I've shot a gun. You can count on one hand how many times I've shot a gun.
Same here. I don't like
and
them.
A handgun only maybe once. I have vague memories of it, but like, yeah.
When I was in school, I daydream about it.
It's more of like me with my 3-hole punch.
I would daydream like, man, if I was a school shooting, like, I would go to this hall and I'd get a book, throw a book, and then go tackle them, and I'd be the hero.
Oh, I imagine rescuing people in a school shooting constantly. I daydream the whole time they're talking about what we're supposed to do. I think about if I saw this guy walking by outside the door, I'd go out because I don't value my life, and I'd tackle this guy for pussy.
I mean, in all seriousness, the one thing I do is like I always make sure I have my keys on me. I always make sure I can lock the door. Now we have special locks on the thing. You just hit a button and it does a different lock, but. Like, I mean, actually there was one time where our shop department started making these like essentially the club, but for a door where you could like slide a piece under and had like a 2x4 and it like made it so that they couldn't bust down the door, because they would have us do drills where we had to practice like barricading the door, because now it's called run, hide, fight, which is what most even office they call it active shooter training. So those, not just schools, I mean any place of
run, hide, fight. That's a good slogan.
So the goal is to first, I joked about this in stand-up. I'm like, those are 3 things I'm not qualified to do around here. But like so the goal is obviously to get out if you can get out. If the shot, if you have to, then you hide, and as a last resort, you fight.
When I was at I used to work. My first job was at a nursing home, and we would have drills about like fire drills and there's like active shooter drills at a nursing home, and like we would have to like go and like take residents out of their room and escort them like out into like the front lawn, and I'm thinking like, listen, I understand being heroic. But if it's between me leaving immediately or me having to go to this racist lady who's high on Percocet with dementia,
I'd take her Percocet.
I'd run take her Percocet. I'm not saving Ethel. Like she's done. I'm out.
It's funny too, because like when you're in the moment of anything, and I've never been in a moment like that. The only moments I've ever been in were like car accidents. I've been like the first on scene for a car accident, and I think you find out who you are. It's like one of those things where you say what you're gonna do, and then versus like what really happens. Like, I would never be afraid of that, and then you're there, and you're like, I'm not afraid of a haunted house, and then you're screaming like a girl by the second room. So it's like I think you don't know until you get in there. Because I even I would hope that I know every time I've been in a scenario where it was like a life or death scenario or something like that, I feel like I've always felt positive or good about the choices I made, in the moment. But you never, it's like one of those things that I think puts it into perspective. You think about the people who are on a plane ride, and all of a sudden the pilot's like, letting you know that it's not going to go smooth, or imagine that one that has to land without the landing gear going down. I always thought about that, like how, like that mechanism, and if that doesn't happen, like
I know.
And then the one where they just had the plane flip, what was it, in Alaska?
Yeah, they did. Well, I'll tell you what, they all just got I think $30,000 each from that airline.
They were lucky that the wings broke off, because that's apparently where the fuel lines were. Oh. And had they not broken off, then they would not have been around.
Having the fuel lines in the wings is brilliant. To have those break up, so if the fuselage hits the ground, it could still. They'll probably all die anyway. But
in this case,
you got a fighting chance.
It was like crazy, but it's just crazy.
God, I'd hate to burn alive. I would rather just die on impact.
But you got to think, my wife, we're going on a cruise, and she's like watching all the North Sea or like horror videos.
I'd rather be.
Are you doing comedy on it?
No. No. No, not yet. That's the plan. I would love to get to that.
I'd love that too.
I'd absolutely.
I know
What
a lot
do
of
I need more
comics,
than a couple comp drinks to be happy?
I know a lot of comics I've worked with that are doing it now. So I just, you have to have certain requirements, and then you have to get a manager to kind of get you in. But it's easy. It's not for the. You just have to have like 3 30-minute sets. I think.
I'd
for
rather
some of them.
be stranded at sea than be on a plane that's going to crash. 100%.
I'd rather crash and die.
Really?
The same guy we were
I feel like I would rather be on the boat.
I'd rather be on the plane. Our friend does an impression of what he'd do in a plane crash because he thinks that's his theory. It's the best way to go. Like he said, as soon as the oxygen tanks fall out, I'd get a newspaper and go like this.
It's like that's like the trend that people were like not like raw dogging air flights by just staring at the seat in front of them.
They were
It's
whatting
like
them?
Raw dogging.
Yeah, I know. What does that mean? No,
I canceled a flight.
they were having sex on the plane while just staring ahead
They
I
were
can't-
raw dogging
without
life.
any contraception.
I planned on going to Nashville over the summer with my friends, and I canceled out of fear of the flight.
Well, that's like so short too. That's like a
It's like an hour and a
hour.
half.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I
canceled.
mean, you
out
could
of
drive
fear.
there in 7 hours or so. Like
It's not
10
7
hours. No, you're right.
It's like 11.
Yeah, you're right. It is.
Why,
I've
why would
driven
I
it.
leave when I have all this, everything I could want?
I'm driving
Everything
there
you
on
want here,
Friday.
knishes and everything.
Knishes, you got the Miller Lights, you got the coffees, you got
GameCube.
Seinfeld.
You could drink those Miller Lights while you're driving down, buddy. You want to be like Otis
Good point.
Timlin.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Especially the GameCube is the best system ever
GameCube.
made, right
really?
there.
You know what? The off-center ones that I like, Dreamcast. You ever have a Dreamcast?
I never played. That's the
It was
one
a
I haven't
Sega,
played.
a Sega Dreamcast I had, and that was. I had a buddy who had Virtua Tennis. We used to play all the time.
Oh yeah, that's the one I haven't played. I played 64. I played SNES, and never
Yeah,
played Dreamcast.
I was always. I mean, I grew up with obviously Nintendo because that was my era. 85. I was 2 years old when they dropped the NES. So that was the main one. Atari. We had an Atari.
I played that
when
too.
I was real young. Space Invaders and Pong and all that
My
nonsense.
I
my
teach
and then it was
Ataris.
Sega. My thing was
I
Sega.
had to say one. I'm sorry. I had to say I got one in it towards the end of the
that's
show.
my Nirvana is like if I
Sega on I had
Sega.
that
Well,
Sega on
and
there.
we were on the cusp of the technology. It's not like today. Like we had the cable company sold what they called the Sega Channel, and basically it was a cartridge that went into your Sega, and then it had the cables that went out, and it like brought up a screen that had 60 games, and then every month it would
Yep.
rotate through games. And that was like
They
the
actually made
coolest
they made
thing.
like a PlayStation 2 video game that was like that they'd have the Atari,
yes, they had that.
like
Yes,
Atari
yeah,
and
the
everything.
collection.
And they'd-
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
But it was cool to see you have all those options. So you just had the one. Oh
Cops
man.
and Robbers was great on Atari.
Oh yeah. Who'd you root for?
A good matchup. That's what I
Remember you
remember.
said they dropped the NES. Floyd dropped the KNEE. That joke never gets old, George.
Neither does George.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I made it. Remember, I made the joke. I was going to reference it, but then I thought it was in poor taste. Now I'm doing it. At the Joe G he dressed as Gabraham Lincoln at 13. We had and I was Booth. And then after I shot him, I did my set over his dead body. But I pretended to kneel on him real quick. And I said, "We rep in Minnesota." I should
So
have
as soon
done.
as something I got up and I had to leave, I was like, if somebody gets mad, it's gonna be so fucking like.
Oh, let me finish my plug from before. Yeah, we're doing the trial of Christ, Jesus Christ. Manny Muskets is playing the Virgin Manny. It's my mother. It's gonna be great. They're gonna put me in jail, folks.
You started to plug it like 10 minutes into the podcast.
I
Now it's
know.
like an hour later. That's crazy.
Well, the Grateful Dead will start playing a song at the start of the show, and then they'll play the second.
Well, somebody
half
had
at
it
the end.
half written down on a piece of paper, waiting for you to finish it, and now they were able to.
We look out for you, Chris Dolan. What time are we at, Luke?
We're almost at an hour.
All right, then I thought of this before we go because I was thinking about this. You're on the Seriously Dad, but which we should have plugged that earlier.
yeah.
Plug the show. Plug what you have to
I
plug.
have a new podcast coming out,
What?
Really?
What's it called?
March 4th, dropping. It's called Jaywalking.
Ooh, I
Is it-
like
is
that
it
name.
you solo?
Yep, me solo.
Nice.
I like that.
Are you having guests?
25 minutes. I might. I think I'm doing like basically like episodes of things in my the stories of my life, the chapters. Like I did the first 4 already that I have, so it was like,
oh, you gotta I'll send me that.
So they'll drop March 4th. So right now, but it'll be great. So I'm looking forward to that. And then really I want it to sort of be like almost like what Bill Burr does is one that drops on Mondays, because they're just like taking stuff of currently. So I'm going to explain who I am for the first couple episodes, and then it's just going to basically be me talking about the
still
events.
Drop Tent?
No, so I'm still with Drop Tent for Seriously Dad, but this one was a former student of mine who just opened a media business in Westchester, and has a pod studio and does social media takeovers for businesses and all that kind of stuff. So I'm using him because he's close to my house. It's like a 20-minute ride.
Can we plug this guy? Should we plug him?
Yeah, it's Simmons Media.
Simmons Media,
Matt Simmons. Yeah, great dude. And if you're someone who's like, a lot of times social media is like a big thing for people that they don't know what to do, or they have people that'll take over the account.
Old people,
run it for you. Well, a lot of performers, a lot of people I mean, I take care of my own and do a pretty good job of curating it. But even like the Seriously Dad one, we're thinking about maybe using him to help us, because it's so much to just manage my own stuff.
Yeah,
I have a hard time.
You're very active. You're always.
I have a hard time. Yeah, I'm very intentional with all of that stuff. So like,
you ain't doing nothing by accident.
So I still haven't quite found the niche of what I'm gonna hone in on, but I'm getting there.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
But no. So he's gonna maybe help us do that too.
Excellent. Jaywalking, March 4th.
March 4th. Drop on Tuesdays. It'll be a weekly one.
Excellent. And are you still doing Seriously Dad?
Yep, still doing. We actually just did a live show.
Yes, Dunbar was that one, right?
Yes, Dunbar was on. He was our bachelor.
That pig.
We're doing another live show. We have leading up for Father's Day week. We're in talks with 3 different ones. So I think we're gonna do like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday of Father's Day week between like here, Port Carbon, and Sayre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
So some places where I just did shows, I kind of pitched them, hey, I'd like to come back, and can I come back with this as the act instead of what I just
That's
ran
good.
now.
You're always thinking, man. That's important.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about all 3 of our stuff. We're always thinking outside the box.
Yeah. So you follow me at Yoder Comedy or jyodercomedy.com.
Of course.
And
I thought it was .org. I thought it meant you were in Oregon doing all right.
I paid extra for that.
Since you're on Seriously Dad, I was thinking about these. We're going to go through. I had some either ors for who you'd rather be the father of. All right. Who would you rather be the dad of? All right. Mm-hmm. Greta Thunberg or Anne Frank?
I mean, I would be proud of both, I would think. I could see how I would be proud of both. Here's the thing about being a parent. No matter who it is, if you're their parent, that's why, I've been joking about this in my act where I'm like, if I catch a kid cheating, I better do it without a shadow of his mother's doubt. Because, she's going to come for you. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the thing about parenting. Like, the minute you said, who would you rather father? Like, in my head, all I could do is see the positive things of them. But, man, I would be, I don't know. That's a good one.
Who would you choose?
Greta.
I would
just for the sex.
Why would choose Greta? Because Anne Frank dies at like 13. Right?
Anne Frank was a composite character.
Yeah, but the parents were dead too. So that's why I'm like, it's a moot point.
Yeah, that's fair. But
I will say that I'd have been.
Can I be a Gentile? That should be the question.
Or were there any others, or was that the only one?
No, the next one was Hitler and Stalin. You said I see the good in them.
He's like, all right, hold my beer.
Yeah, that really was. That was one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Well, Hitler was more popular, but Stalin killed more people.
Yeah, I'd rather Hitler for the art.
So I don't know as much about Stalin. Give me the.
He was worse. I think Stalin was. I mean, it's hard when you're at that level. It's like Jordan and LeBron. You can't say what. Yeah. But like in terms of atrocities,
well, it's like when you think about the parents of these school shooters. Like that's almost like what I would think the equivalent of. Like, what must these parents feel like of these people who've gone on to commit these atrocities in school? At that level.
If I was one of those if I was Stalin, I think my dad would actually still be proud because I think my dad only cares about.
He ain't no bitch, my boy. He ain't no son. He ain't no bitch.
So if I was the chancellor of Germany, I think Luke, you make pretty good money.
Well, whoever's dad I am, I'm like, I done fucked up. That's all I know. It was like, if it was a girl, I'm keeping her off a pole. The rest of them, keeping them away from Poland. It's like.
And I want to let all of us know that we unanimously before the show picked that we'd rather be fathers to the Obama daughters than Barron Trump because he's so ugly. Right.
Thank you, folks. Take care.
We can call Trump ugly, Barron Trump.
Yeah,
he's ugly, man.
He's like the origin story of.
He's like a stretched out.
He's like Despicable Me. No, he's the Gru's
He's Gru,
origin story.
He's gross.